And I think this is the part where it's setting up and I just see the little tab going, but it might actually be live. It's so funny. It doesn't show me that. So I'm just
On
getting
my
used.
screen, it says it's live.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is then. And now I have to figure out how to get back to you. Hold on. Yay! We're live. All right, welcome everybody. I have Suzanne Gerber, the wonderful astrologer, with me on the live today, and it worked. It worked. My morning live with Nalini didn't, but we put a recorded one in. So Suzanne, I'm going to say hi to you and turn it over to you for just a second while I go to my page on my phone, turn the volume down, and then I can see who's coming in, and I can do shout outs and we can answer questions if somebody has a question. So go ahead. Hi, Suzanne. Say hello.
It's really great to be here. It's always great to be with you. Um, my talk on your interview is about astrology and soul purpose, and we kind of look at different things in the chart that indicate people's affinities or opportunities to gain deeper understanding of their own soul's purpose and mission in life, and even what we talked about in our interview as kind of portals to other dimensions and transcendence. And I do have a free gift for everybody who comes to that page about astrology and soul purpose is seen through the nodes of the moon in your chart, which we go into in detail in the talk, and we don't need to right now. But I know, when you and I chat, you always, no matter what we talk about, you always bring it back to, so what's going on now?
I do, because everybody likes to know about right now. Hi, Anissa. Anissa's with us again. She was here this morning when we couldn't get in. So thank you for your persistence. I appreciate it. All right, go ahead. Let's hear about what's going on now, because that's really what everybody wants to know, right?
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be nice if we had the answers?
We
the
can
thing
guess.
the thing is, we're at a crossroads, and we are writing this script. It's not like the script came down with a approved stamp on it, from the script doctors or the divine. We are co-creating with all of our own guides, and we're doing this. And this is how humanity throughout time, on this planet has either transcended and created beautiful democratic political systems and amazing art, and we've worked with energy and reached pinnacles of ability at previous times on this planet. And we thrust ourselves into dark ages and war and tumult that goes on forever. And it seems like it's always when we're at a crossroads that it kind of comes down to the people who, the souls who are here at any given time, that make the choices. It's the power. It's the power of the people. It's the power of our energy fields and our intentions. So yeah, we'll talk about, Capricorn versus Aquarius, and, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, because these are the players. These are the planets that are associated with the changes that are happening. But the really important thing to know is this ain't done yet. We are inventing it. And that's why when people go, what's the point? I'm tired. I give up. I'm exhausted. My vote doesn't count. My opinion, my actions don't count. To me, the most important thing to convey is, oh, yeah, they do. Because I don't know if we talked about this in the interview, but one of the ways I think about it is it's like the smart grid. We're always downloading power and energy and information from, whatever, from source, but we're also feeding it back in. And it's very important for us to recognize that even if it's small, it's necessary, because if every small player continues to do his and her part, we can really create some kind of critical mass and change things. So it's just really important for people to remember, especially people, whether they identify as light workers or not. If you're listening to this recording now, you're a light worker.
If somebody's on the Alchemy of Ascension Summit listening to it, if that's attractive to you, you're here for a reason. You're a light worker. You're probably a star seed. You probably have a big mission, and that's what attracts you. Other people hear that and it's just like, what? Who? No. But you know, we have over 7,000 people registered, and you know, it's growing every day. Everybody be sure and share as you get the email, share them, because this is a global movement. And what you said, Suzanne, like what we do right now matters more than ever. And the more, I feel like it's, you know, the 100th monkey, but you know, maybe the millionth or the billionth, I don't know. But as we expand our consciousness and our frequency more and more, oh, there's one of your little kitties.
We have a speaker.
It has two little kitties. But as we expand our frequency or raise our frequency more and more, we have an effect. Like that is our gift. That is what we're contributing to the whole. We are having that effect on other people and the world, and it's contagious. Frequency is contagious. So either they're, you know, we talked about this yesterday, either they're enrolling you in their frequency with, if it's a lower frequency, or you're enrolling them in yours. So it's important to be really strong in that and make, you know, strong choices and be powerful in that. And I know that Suzanne, the way you do astrology can be helpful in that, helping people, guiding people, and that you read for the positive. You're not, that's what I do in my psychic readings too. I don't read for the doom and gloom or like what bad thing might happen to you. You kind of steer people toward how can you use this information to improve your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, another thing too, it's just expanding on what we're talking about. We didn't incarnate now accidentally. You know, we all chose to be here, even if in this level of consciousness we're kind of kicking ourselves and going, oh man, you know, this isn't the year I wanted to graduate from high school or plan a wedding or, you know, plan my partner's 50th birthday party. You know, people are, you know, quote unquote missing out on these rites of passage that are so important as humans. But really this is just an opportunity to go, is that really the most important thing? What is your real takeaway? And it is disappointing on the ego level. I mean, we've all experienced those disappointments, and it is important to acknowledge them and feel them, but also to put them in a larger perspective of, wait a minute, we're here at this really one of the most extraordinary opportunities for mankind in a very, very, very long time. And let's get a little excited about it. I mean, I know that can sound a little perverse to people who really are suffering, and this is in no way diminishing, you know, families that have lost their income or maybe their homes. There's tremendous empathy, I think, from most of us toward the rest. But you know, people lose homes and bad things happen all the time. But it's how we deal with these things and how we try to turn it into an opportunity, right? To make some changes on a personal level, on a local level, and then on a collective level. And that's what I think is really going on right now. And the quicker we can shift, you know, it's like our viewfinder, right? We can kind of do micro, you know, just focus on what's in front of us, which, let's face it, that's like the default setting for most of us, right? What is my life? What is my family? What is my income or work? But then if we can just kind of open it up and say, wow, I have never, because so many of us are connecting virtually like never before. It's like there is an extraordinary opportunity and power in this. When we put everybody together, we can really do great things. And that's, okay, yes, that's part of 2020 in a general way, but also, and you know, I can talk about this a little bit more if you want. There are 3 planets that have been traveling together all year, and they travel at different rates because of their placement from the sun, Pluto being the furthest out, and it takes a very long time. So Pluto has actually been in Capricorn for a long time. There's been a long, slow burn or churn of changes in big collective systems. We see it happening on governmental levels because that's where you tend to see the biggest changes, right? And it's really funny. There's a cat sticking out above the computer. So very amusing. And then the next furthest out is Saturn, which only is a 30-year cycle, but Saturn and Pluto have been traveling together. And in January, when they hit for the first time in a long time, that was really when we kind of started to get our first snapshot of what was happening, but not quite what was coming down the pike. Then when Jupiter moved in, which only takes 12 years to go around, Jupiter is really about expanded vision. And that's when we started in global. anything global. And that's when we really started to see, oh, it's happening on this scale. And I think we first got very focused on the it instead of the, and so therefore what? And as we've kind of cycled through this, getting worse, getting a little better, getting bad again, we're gaining more and more information. And what happened is all three of those planets turned retrograde, meaning relative to the Earth's speed, their orbit around the sun was slower. So they appear to go backward. Planets don't actually back it into reverse, but it's a perception, and it's very meaningful and significant on Earth because things seem to shift or reverse or slow down. And that's around the time they all turned into retrograde motion at different times, but near each other. And that's when we started to reverse. Instead of being closed down, we started to open up again, and things, and a lot of people were just, wishful thinking. Okay, life is back to normal again, except it isn't, because retrogrades are going to reveal different things. And so all three of these planets, and this is the significant part, all three of those planets are reversing out of retrograde and back into forward motion. Jupiter actually corrects course this evening around 8:41 here in Eastern time. Jupiter is everybody's favorite planet, and this is going to bring optimism and hope, and again, that global community. And this is why it's so important for us to really think, act locally, think globally, but act globally too. Like, what can we do for people, that we're connected to in other parts of the world? Saturn is going to correct course on Tuesday, September 29th. That's going to feel very momentous. I think a lot of the heaviness and the Saturn can bring fear and worry and loss. And when Saturn corrects course, I think we might start to, people might start to be getting new jobs or creating new jobs, because really it's a time to recreate, not just try to pull back the old. Pluto will be October 4th, and then they move forward. And then this is a time where we really are going to be in our power. And it's really a time to push and push. And whatever we've been thinking of individually or in our own little groups or in our own big groups, our own political movements or social justice groups, whatever it is, anything that's for the good is going to get a lot of forward momentum. And we have the election, which we're not even going to talk about, with retrograde that day.
Watch out
there. But here's the thing. In the middle of December, Pluto is very slow moving. So Saturn and Jupiter are going to just move right past him. And they're going to line up again in the middle of December, within a couple of days of each other. And then they're going to leave Capricorn, where Saturn's been for almost 3 years, Jupiter's been for a year. Capricorn is the sign of the old guard. It's the patriarchy. It's the old systems. It's everything conservative. And I mean that word kind of literally. It's conserving what we have. I don't want to, it's the people in power. I mean, who in power ever wants to give up their power freely? That's why we have revolutions. But they're going to leave Capricorn, and together, kind of arm in arm, which is a very rare thing to happen for big, slower moving planets, they're going to move into Aquarius, which is the sign of idealism and humanitarianism and social justice and new systems and the avant-garde and things that haven't been done before. I see this as our brilliant opportunity to just shift gears. And it's not really as sudden as it seems, because this has been 20 years in the making, and really 2020 has been that critical year. It's sort of like when you have a tight jar and you try to open it, you try to open it, you try to open it, and you get it really close. And then somebody else comes along and just goes, that was easy. And that is what I think is going to be the shift when Saturn and Jupiter move into Aquarius just a little before Christmas.
Well, I think we're all ready for a little bit of easy. I mean, I think everyone can everyone listening, I want to shout out to everybody listening. So give me a thumbs up, a heart, if you're ready for it to get easier. And I also want to shout out to Jen Olson, Janet Miller, Katie Hykins, and Joseph are all watching. And thanks you guys for jumping on the live. And if you have any questions for us, For Suzanne in particular about astrology or what's happening, be sure and put those in. Oh, and they're all like sending hearts and thumbs up. Thank you guys. So feel free to put those in. But yes, we're absolutely ready for things to get easier. So you're saying around Christmas time or the holidays, there's going to be like, are we going to get a break? That's what everybody really wants to know.
I've got to jump in, Washayla, and say, I'm not telling you things are going to get easier.
Come on.
What I'm saying is we're going to have a collective opportunity to turn in a different direction. And is that going to be easy? I don't know. Change, for some people, change is just like a tearaway suit. They're like, they shed their skins, you know, it's just like, okay, next. And for people who are still clinging to old ways, but I like my this and I love and I need my that. It's not going to be easy, you know, for us to evolve into a higher plane. We got to let go of some stuff. So the way people experience it is going to be very individual.
Well, this is our opportunity for change. I think most of the viewers, people that are interested in spiritual evolving, the alchemy of ascension and things like that, they're up for the change. We're ready for the new earth. We are doing the work. And I feel like, you know, yeah, there are the people that just kind of watch the interviews. Maybe they go, you know, get the free gifts. Maybe they even buy the classes. There's a very big difference between just watching and reading and consuming the information versus doing the actual work that goes along with it. And that's night and day. And so I think what you're really saying is collectively, we have this opportunity to really do this work and have a huge effect. And maybe the releasing of the old suddenly becomes more possible than it used to be. And more people are on board because we feel this like desire to build something way better than what we've just extracted ourselves from. And I really think that is the age of Aquarius. That is the vision going forward. That is the new earth. That is the ascension process, the raising of our frequency, the ability to just step beyond what we've been doing and move into a whole new way of being together. Right? I do have a question here or something. It says, I keep telling myself, I allow myself to accept change with ease and grace, Janet. Yes, ease and grace. And you know, that's the best thing you can do is just be on board with change and let the change happen. And as it comes up, celebrate that you're releasing, celebrate that you're evolving. Right?
Yeah, because the opposite of that is to resist, right? And in resistance, we activate a lot of our lower vibrations and we stay stuck in the old. And the resistance itself is something that's worth looking at. And I think if people are resisting change, I think it's really important to first just acknowledge it, you know, not beat themselves up or think that they're doing anything wrong, just to go, oh, wow, look at that. I must be human. I am having resistance to change. But then what makes us kind of superhuman is where we say, well, how do I feel about that? Do I want to allow that to, like you were saying, you know, do you want that to influence you, or do you want to be the one that's driving the ship, right? And it's really about making a choice. And it's about really getting in that choice. You know, when I'm working with clients, we don't really talk so much about, you know, global situations because it's, you know, it's not that kind of session. It's really about them. But you can't act with people as if this isn't the context for how life is right now. And so many people are getting this sense of urgency. Like, I've been living a certain way and it's been somewhere between fine and comfortable and not so comfortable, but I've adapted to it, right? Because we just get used to things, you know, the devil, you know, right? And right now I've been finding in the last maybe half year, 4 to 5 months, especially, people are coming to me going, okay, let's talk about that life purpose. You know, what is it? What am I supposed to do? I want to do it. I'm ready. You know, I'm here to show up, but I have no idea what it is, you know? And so after like the first session, I have people come back to me and they say, I was so inspired. I've actually just signed up to get this degree or this training program or to do this work or to get more serious in my healing practice or in my spiritual practice or to really start meditating every single morning without any excuses. And I, love your shirt, which
heavily meditated.
the best way to approach this year, I think, because just meditating, I mean, something that sounds so simple, and it is simple, it's just not easy. It just means we have to appreciate the value of it enough to say, I'm going to get up earlier. I'm just going to change my morning. I'm going to skip this and I'm going to meditate, because that alone can ground us in ourselves. And that's where we really understand what that mission is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that we have just this ability to like, there's more energy for change available to us is what it really feels like. All right, I got another one from Anissa. Any significance in the date of 12/21/2020 with ending of the old and moving into the new earth? Ooh, are you looking that up? And hi to Lehman. Lehman joined us.
Well, what I think she's talking about is that there are people that are saying that's actually like an echo of 12/12 or 12/20, 2012, which was the end of the Maya calendar.
Yeah.
We all remember that. It was such a big deal then, and now it's like, wait, when was that?
What happened?
Yeah, there's always some big new thing to be on the lookout for. What my understanding, what I was taught, I was actually in the amazing archaeology museum in Mexico City around that time. And I had somebody taking us around and explaining the Maya calendar, some of the Maya descent. And he said, it's really nothing to panic over. It's just the end of one cycle. If we can pull back far enough, we, again, back to our micro view, we think this is the world and it's never been worse. And we're on the brink of disaster. And you pull back far enough, maybe not every single generation, but throughout history, there have always been times where the people who were writing, and chronicling their times talked about it as certain doom and gloom. It's all over now. This is the end of the world as we know it. And here we are today, I think, in 2020. And 12/21/20 is really, from my understanding, it's just another stop in the Maya calendar, but the Maya calendar just continues on. It's like, and I don't know enough about it in the Vedic astrology, and they talk like we're now in the Kali Yuga, which is a big period, which is going to lead into the age of Aquarius. A lot of people, in the New Age movement, things just get kind of diluted. We kind of hear a thing and we seize on it. We go, age of Aquarius, Saturn and Jupiter moving into Aquarius. That must mean the age of Aquarius, but no. There's a lot of debate among the kind of scholarly people that work with cosmology, and they talk about this as being a minimum of 100 or 200 years off and possibly 500 years off. And again, it has to do with these other time periods that different systems use. And I don't know how you can like relate the Maya system to the Vedic system to, I don't think these things are meant to overlap. And so which is your pathway, what's your belief system? But there's probably a lot of significance in all of them. To me, what's most important is don't get caught up in the doom and gloom, because then that plants seeds for negativity and you're not going to see the opportunities. It's really easy to see, I'm not going to use the glass half full, half empty, but it's really about our perspective. And we can see problems or we see opportunities. And I think the people that are interested in ascension on any level have to see it through a positive lens, or what's the point?
Well, and also what we're focusing on is what we get more of. So what we're focusing on today is always what we're going to get more of tomorrow. So that right there is a reason to be choosy about where you're putting your focus, where you're putting your attention. It doesn't mean deny when things come up. When things come up, acknowledge them, notice them, look at them, release them, and then move on, and don't get stuck in them. And I think that's the most important key, is not getting stuck. Cosmologically, though, I would like to comment on, and I don't know if you study this or have or aware of it, but I did a little reading on the Andromedan galaxy, because I have these Andromedan guides popping in, people will hear about throughout the interview series. And I just wanted to know, what is an Andromeda? You know, what's that all about? And it's a galaxy that is actually coming toward our galaxy, and our galaxies are colliding with each other. Now, obviously, it's not going to happen for millions or billions of years. I don't know. But what's happening is, as they get closer, this is a light galaxy, a galaxy of light. It's bringing more light to our solar system, to our planet. We are being affected by the light of an Andromedan galaxy, and that could possibly mean that that's bringing this end of the darkness, the darker ages, into lighter times. That could possibly mean the Mayan calendar turning over. That could possibly mean why we're moving into the new Earth now, because cosmologically our galaxy is experiencing colliding with a galaxy that has more light. And I've even in one of the interviews, we talked about this a little bit, how our galaxies, you know, everything orbits. Like that's one of, and Elizabeth Wood talked about that orbiting is one of the languages of life, of the universe. And that these galaxies are twin flames, and they're re-merging together, they're coming together. So even galaxies can have partnerships, and they're being attracted to each other. So to me, that says, okay, it's like an enlightening time in our planetary history, and we get to benefit from that. We get to experience more light, more geometry, more energy in a whole new way. And I feel like that is really significant in all of these systems. Maybe they don't talk about Andromeda, but they all talk about change. So what do you have to say about that, Suzanne?
Oh, I'm gonna leave galaxies to you, Shayla.
Okay, you can just stick with charts. I don't know how.
It's taken me 37 years to really get an understanding of the solar system.
Yeah, I think, talk about going macro, micro, and macro. And there are universes and omniverses orbiting each other, and multiverses, whatever all that means, right?
It's multiverse, but it's very hard to hold that that understanding, because it means that you have to get out of this kind of perception of the world. And it's just hard to do, because when you're really focused in three-dimensional reality, you can't just sometimes I accidentally change my Apple computer screen, and I don't know how I did that. I can't get the old one back. And I feel like sometimes when I shift dimensions, that I'm like, "Ooh, can I get back to the other one?"
Yes, I know that one. I am very familiar with that. Like, whoops, where'd I land? How do I get back to that one, that Earth one?
Finger swipe to get back here.
Wrong lifetime. Back up. Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, the experience of the multidimensionality is kind of, it's fun. I don't take it that seriously, because I get it's all about anchoring it here in the body, being present in the body, the ascension, the expansion of the energy of the physical being and our presence in the body. It's not about going out, but it is about exploring and journeying. And I do think that that's a fun part that we get to do in these multidimensional bodies. And I know shamanism is also part of your training. So I know that you have some experience in those realms as well.
Well, I think I'm just going to add to what you said. I mean, I think it's fun, but I don't think that's the point. Fun is great, and joy is great, make no mistake. I'm all about that. But I think that when we do work in expanded consciousness, alternate reality, non-ordinary reality, as we call it in shamanism, or multidimensional reality. I think it's really important because when we're too focused, when we're too locked into this world, in astrology, we say we look at it as having too much earth in the chart, being too earthbound, or Saturn is too strong, and it keeps us very tunnel visioned into this world. And we think that we only have, you know, five senses, and colors only run on a certain spectrum, and emotions are just these core emotions, and that we're very limited in our experiences. And I think it's only when we go beyond it, through it by whatever means, through meditation or through shamanic practices or through responsible use of plant medicine or journeying. Or sometimes people have it happen very spontaneously. You know, I had it happen once on a crosstown bus in New York City. I'm like, what the hell? You know? It's like, it just, we don't know what triggers it. It's something in our own DNA and our own karmas as they ripen along a certain timeline, and our experiences are, you know, kind of like miracle grow on our potentials, right? But when we do that, we realize that's not all there is. I'm not going to get limited by that. That's not that important. And it makes us see things from such a different perspective. And also, I mean, most people I know who've had these experiences, let's just call them multidimensionality for ease of communication, but they come back with such a sense of joy, such a sense of, it's not even joy, right? It's bliss. It's absolute, utter, ecstatic, like, you know. And it also, one of the most valuable things I think is it helps us understand our own human transition. Like when we do drop our bodies, we won't be approaching it with fear and terror. And when loved ones go through that, we won't just be only grieving and only, you know, desperately using heroic measures to save their life. We understand life is so much more than this tiny little line segment called this lifetime. So I think it's kind of essential for humans to have those experiences.
Yeah, I like how you put that. It's so true. I feel like the more, you know, the more I get to journey, and I know that, you know, I do that in the morning, in the evening, before I get out of bed and before I go to sleep at night. Sometimes that's what makes my whole day work, you know? I mean, really, it probably is always what makes my whole day work. If I don't get my meditation in the morning, if, you know, occasionally other things have to be done, and I don't have the time, you know, things just aren't quite as smooth. I mean, that's what kind of gives me the groundedness to be present. And you know, Suzanne and I both do summits, and we do a lot of you know, just physical computer work, answering emails, you know, the daily stuff that you do when you're producing. And we get it done. But I think I think it's way more fun when we know, like, okay, that's just one little piece, one little teeny tiny thing about who I am and what I do. And I'm really God. I'm really, you know, one with source at the highest level. We're all the same one having these different experiences. And for me, that just makes life fun and livable. And then the journeying experiences are, to me, just the most uh, just the most beneficial thing, I think. And I'm not just talking about plant medicine. I know that's one way, but there's so many ways to journey. It's meditation journeying and drum. I had Star Wolf. She did a breathwork journey, and this morning I was on with Nalini. Her interview was released today, and she does a light language journey. And you know, we can do light. I have the Luciolite journey, and shamanic journeys. And there's so many ways that we can get beyond this physical. And no matter how literal you are, there are ways that you can break out. So I think, if nothing else, I think this is a time of coming out of the mundaneness of what it is to be human, and just exploring what it is to be multidimensional as a human. And I think that, you know, that bringing it around to your charts, you know, this is a way there, that's part of how you use them. And particularly in your interview, we talked about, and you talked about how you can use your astrological chart to help you in your ascension process?
You can use the chart of your birth, and that's kind of like a blueprint of your potential. And then another thing that's really fascinating, and this is why people really readings. I mean, people have never had their chart read. Yeah, we need to talk about what the chart is. You have to understand who the person is, and one of the things that I do and that I know people really appreciate in the readings is I kind of read them back to themselves from the highest self that they are, not just what their problems are. I mean, that's the first thing you see in a chart. Oh, there's this square and there's this opposition and there's Pluto and da, 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 da. It's like, great. And as my wonderful teacher taught us, anybody can find the problems. that's and they're not coming to you to underscore their problems. They're looking for outlets. They're looking for opportunities. They're looking for options. And so we can see that in a birth chart, but also the planets in the sky as they orbit, there's your word, as they're orbiting, they activate different things in your birth chart. And in those activations, whether they're easy activations or a little more painful, it doesn't matter. They're openings and they're moments. And, it's frustrating to me to think opportunities are coming by and people are just letting them go. It's like they're waiting for the bus and they didn't realize, oh, that was my bus. And it just went by and they could have been on that bus. These are just times when you're kind of in the cosmic current, if that makes sense. You've got a little bit of, excuse me, a little bit of extra oomph, a little extra wind in your sails, a little more current behind you when you're swimming. Other times the current's coming against you. Don't try to start new things and don't sign contracts or move or, do various things, because just wait it out. And then the bus is going to come along and it's an express bus and it's just going to make your life so much easier. So these are openings, whether it's something as mundane as, our earthly pursuits, work. Everybody always wants to talk about work and, love and relationships. And these are very important human things. And there's also what do we do? What is our ascension? How do we do it? And for some people, it is very lofty and it really is about doing spiritual work themselves with other people. And for some people, it could be developing their healing practice or learning how to listen more for guidance that will take them to the next step. It's not all happening on the same, level, if you will. And no level's better than another. They're just different levels. But it's about seeing what your potential is. And like I said, seeing the timing of it is, I think of it as my, cosmic cheat sheet.
I love that. Yeah. So part of Suzanne's interview, she offers a free gift. It's a chart, right? A birth chart. Or no, wait, remind me. I'm sorry. Too many people's gifts.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain your free gift?
What great free stuff, right?
So much great free stuff.
Yeah. So I help people find their chart because you need to have your chart to find these things. And your audience here might not be quite as familiar with astrology as let's say my group is. They come to me because they love astrology, so they know their chart. But your people might not. So I've created I'm sending them to a link to my good friends, the Astro Twins, and they can input their chart on their site for free. And it's not, they're not going to get spammed and they're not going to get, it's a very safe site and they're friends of mine. And I wouldn't send anybody to a questionable site. So they get their chart. And then I'm going to, in what the free gift is, it's a recording. It's an MP3 recording that they can listen to in real time, and they can download it to their hard drives and they can listen to it at any time. What I do is I just talk for a few minutes about what the nodes of the moon are, because that's a pretty esoteric thing, even for some astrologers. They're very karmic indicators in a chart. They don't indicate anything else. They don't indicate your drive or your mental capacity or how you feel about love. They're neutral. I call them the tofu of the zodiac. They just kind of absorb the energies of the sign and the house and the energetic relationship that they're in with other planets. And I tell people how to find their own north and south node, which are exactly opposite one another. And one indicates your past karma, your south node is the karma you come in with, that you really don't need to develop anymore. You got that, you're good. But it's kind of like what people fall back on because they are good at it and it's just easy to do. But that's not why we're here. We're here to act out of our north node. That's where the teaching is. That's where the challenges are, but that's where the rewards are. So once they've identified it in their chart, I go through, well, first we look at the north node in all 12 houses, depending on where theirs is. And then we go back and we overlay the qualities of the north node in a certain sign. And then I invite them to not get super analytical and like worried about getting all the words right, just like kind of feel impressionistically what these things sound like and to see if it's meaningful for them. And then the great thing about the recording, they're only going to be one sign in one house, but their partner is going to be something else. Their best friend's going to be something else. Mom is something, their kid is something. So they can really start to put together some very interesting pieces of the astrological puzzle.
Oh, that's awesome. That was such a great description. And so for everybody watching, you can get that on the Alchemy of Ascension Summit on Suzanne's speaker page today. And then going forward, you can, let's talk about, well, I'll put a link so that you know how to get to the Alchemy of Ascension Summit. And Suzanne, where can people find you?
The best way to find me is on my own website, which all they have to do is type in starsandstoneshealing.com. And Google knows how to direct you to me. And then you can kind of tool around on the site. There's a lot of information. I don't put any predictions on the site. It's really just kind of deep, more backstory about what astrology is and what it can show you and what shamanism is and Reiki and healing is, and a little bit about me. And people can just like drop me a note if they have any questions, like how would we do this? Do you work on that? Or if they have an affinity for me, they can just book a session right through the website.
Yeah, awesome. And I've told people in the interview, but Suzanne and I are actually friends. She's my astrologer. She's done readings for me and they're always incredibly informational and interesting. And she takes them places where a lot of astrologers just don't go. And we also both live in the Sarasota area. So we get together and actually, you know, meet in person, which is really nice these days. And we haven't lately, but we're overdue. So I think we'll close there. And I appreciate everyone for watching. There are a few people, real quick, I'll just say names of people that came on late. Hi to Summer. Hi to, who do we have? Beata, B-E-A-T-A. I don't know that name. I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Beata.
Beta?
Beata.
Beata. Hi, Beata. That's a great name. I just haven't, I don't know how to say it. And yeah, thanks for everyone. Make sure that you jump on over to the summit if you haven't yet and grab Suzanne's, watch her interview and grab her free gift and look her up on her website. And if you want a reading, she's really good. I can vouch for that. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much, Suzanne. I appreciate you. And we went way over the half an hour that I promised everyone, but that's to be expected because you're so full of information. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.